Spain was hit by sudden and severe flooding when torrential rain swept across several regions, turning roads into rivers and housing into puddles in dirty water. The city of Villafranca in Catalonia was hit by hottest heat, with more than 100 millimeters of rain falling in a few hours. A month's worth of rainfall is a single evening. Local emergency service was overwhelmed as firefighters and police rushed to rescue people trapped in the buildings and cars. No deaths were reported, but dozens of people were treated to shock and minor injuries. Resident Maria Solos described it as a terrifying experience. The water came with the like wave. In a matter of minutes, everything we had underwater. It was like in the world. The flooding caused widespread power outage, school and railway closures. In some towns were completely cut off the outside world. In Villafranca, rail links of Barcelona were suspended, and rural roads were blocked by landslides and fallen trees. Meteorologists attributed the disaster of low-pressure system that the Trump's most air closes sudden intense rainfall. Experts warned that such events are becoming more frequent due to climate change. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez expressed his support. "We stand with every family affected. Emergency aid and recovery plans is already underway. As the water receded, the cleanup begins a guideline and ex-housing process. But for me, kids, flood is more than natural disaster. It's a wake-up call about climate change and a reminder of how vulnerable even the prepared communities can be." France is experiencing a difficult time after powerful storm caused sudden flooding in various parts of the country. Flooding roads, damaging houses and shocking entire communities. The worst hit areas is the eye in southeastern France, where heavy rain fell continuously, dumping more than 120 millimeters of rain in few hours, more than the average monthly rainfall. In the town of Draguin, residents woke up finding water flooding in their homes and businesses. Streets turned into raging rivers and cars rotated in a muddy current.
পিয়াসা দমও একেবারে তলায় গেছে। আমার রেস্টুরেন্টে পানি ঢোকার সম্ভাবনা বেশি, আমার রেস্টুরেন্টের পাশেই ঘটনা।
President Jean Miller described the horrific scene. "It happened so fast. One moment it was raining, in the next the water washed up in the chest. We lost everything." Emergency service responded quickly, deployed more than 400 firefighters and rescuers. Helicopters evacuated stranded residents to boats were used to access isolated homes. Several people were injured, but no death we have confirmed. The flooding disrupted power supply, closed school and shut down parts of the A8 motorway, the region's main transport artery. Authorities are urged residents to remind to alert and use storm forecast in the coming days. Experts point to the situation storm system fed in the most Mediterranean air in the case in a phenomenon that becoming more common due to climate change. French President Emmanuel Macron issued a statement to solidarity. All throughout all affected families, the state will provide rapid support to recovery. As the rain subside, the true extent of the damage become clear. Too many water in the left behind not only debris but also deep emotional scars.
Distance. If I have to drive to work in England, they don't get an easy running for it. I'm in Germany. When in Germany.
Severe flooding has swept across the several European countries, causing chaos, distracting the emergency evacuation from France to Spain to Germany and Belgium. Several days in continuous rain have caused rivers to overflow, triggered landslides, and left cities flooding without dirty water. In southern France, cities such as Draguin and Enac received more than 120 millimeters of rain in a few hours. Cars swept away, homes were flooded, and rescue service worked throughout the night to save residents who were trapped. "It was terrible," say French resident Jean Morel. The water rose so quickly that we didn't time to have prepare. In the Spanish region of Catalonia, the town de Vilafranca suffered similar damage. Sudden floods inundated streets and paralyzed transport. Power outage and muddy roads left communities isolated. Germany reported rising water levels along the Rhine. The Mosul driver prompted mass evacuation in a flood-prone crisis. Emergency siren working to overflow in rivers territory to bridge dams. Belgium declared a state of emergency in several provinces, calling to arm ahead with the evacuation to aid disruption. Meteorologists attributed the widespread flooding to a situation low pressure system fed to warm, moist air and combination that becoming more common due to climate change. Experts warned that such extreme weather events could become a common normal to Europe. European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen responded, "Europeans stand united. Aid is being provided and recovery will begin immediately." As the sky began to clear, Europeans returned to devastation. Damaged homes, destroyed crops, ruined infrastructure. Tell the story to continue battery to nature and prepare the warning of warm land ahead. A wave of catastrophic flooding has swept across the western and southern Europe, forcing thousands of flee and caused widespread damage. Torrential rain hampered France, Spain, Germany, Belgium and Switzerland, overwhelmed rivers, paralyzing infrastructure and turned quest streets into raging torrents. In France, at the province's region were almost hardest hit, in the town of Draguin, water rushed through the homes and shops. Over 400 emergency workers were deployed to flash floods, carried vehicles away and damaged bridges. In Spain, the town of Vilafranca in Catalonia forced similar chaos. More than 100 mm of rain fell within an hour, flooding homes and living communities standing. Felt like the edge was collapsing, say local residents Maria Soler. The water rose fast that they could react. Germany issued flood alert across the Rhine basin while the Mosul River surged dangerously. Towns along the banks were evacuated to floodwaters breached barriers. Roads crumbled to terrain and halted each devastation flood of 2022. In Belgium, the provinces of the Namur declared a state of emergency. Emergency crews battered to rescue elderly residents from submerged neighborhoods. Experts attributed the disaster of cut-off low-pressure system within the remaining standardly over Central Europe, drawing the warmest air. Meteorologists warn the climate change is increasing both the frequency and severity of such events. European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen pledged immediate aid. European is not abandoned those affected. Recovery starts now, but adaptation must follow. As the waters recede, Europeans comfort not just broken infrastructure, but changing climate demonstration urgent action.